Good evening and welcome to the Education, Youth, and Family Virtual Committee meeting. Today is Monday, December the 14th. I'm Michelle Harley, Committee Chair, and I represent the 4th Councilmatic District. And at this time, we're going to start with introductions by district.
I'm Councilwoman Anthony Oliver. I'm not able, it says you cannot start the video because the host has stopped it. So something's going on that I'm not able to show.
This is Linda Gray from First District. Anthony, I can see you now, Councilwoman Oliver.
Thank you.
Linda, you want to introduce yourself?
I just did. I thought I did. This is Linda Gray, First District.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Harley, if we could just redo your beginning part. We were not live to TV.
Okay.
So I will cue you in the chat if that's okay as soon as we're live.
Okay.
All right. 1 second.
Okay.
Come in here.
I have to see if you can find us. Darryl, that's who it is.
Good evening and welcome to the Education, Youth, and Family Virtual Committee meeting. Today is Monday, December the 14th. I'm Michelle Harley, Committee Chair, and I represent the 4th Councilmatic District. And we're going to start with introductions by district.
Thank you.
Okay. This is Linda Gray, Councilwoman for First District.
Thank you. Xanthia Oliver, Councilwoman for the 3rd District.
Councilman Vashon, Councilman for 5th District.
I thought I seen Councilmember Friel. Okay, so we're going to move on, and when he comes back on, I will acknowledge him. So today we have one presentation on our agenda, no legislation to be voted out of this committee. Our presentation today is on the topic of community intervention. And I just want to say that I'm very excited about having Mr. Darryl Chambers with us on today to share with us about his program. I'm in conversations quite a bit regarding our youth, and different individuals are always asking about where are the programs in the city for our youth, and CIT always comes up. And I just want to thank him for taking out his time today to come and do this presentation for us. And we'll be able to share the link with other organizations and other individuals that would like to know more about the program. So at this time, I want to welcome Mr. Darryl Chambers, and good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Michelle, is it all right if I share my screen? So, well, first, let me do some, I did have it so that you can see my PowerPoint. I first want to start with an introduction, because I believe once I start sharing my PowerPoint, you probably won't be able to see the people I have with me today. First, my name is Darryl Chambers. A lot of people around the city know me as Wolfie. I am the director of the Center for Structural Equity, which houses the CIT, which the acronym stands for the Community Intervention Team. And to my right is?
I'm Kerry Middlebrook. I'm a case manager for the Center for Structural Equity.
And we also see support from Social Contract. I don't know if Elisa Drew is online or not, but if there's any questions about some stuff, she might join in later on. So, Council, Madam Council, is it all right if I share my screen now?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And nice to meet you.
This is a WITN. We'll bring up
You
the
got me?
PowerPoint for you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay, so as I said before, we are the community intervention team. This is not actually how I have it on my slide, but that's okay. The next screen, next slide. So we did go around and do our introductions. As I said, I am Darryl Chambers. Everybody know me as Wolfie. It's okay if you call me Wolfie. And I am the director of the Center for Structural Equity, which houses CIT, the Community Intervention Team, along with numerous other programs that hopefully we'll have some time today to get into. And I know you guys appreciate a high level overview of stuff, and we'll be able to get into some questions where we probably get into more detail about a certain thing. Next. So the question is always this: what is CIT? A lot of folks always say, you know what, we don't hear a lot about CIT. And the one thing that we try to do at CIT is that we really try to avoid the media, because we're not in it for the highlight reel. We're not in it for the publicity. We're in to try to save Black and brown young men and women lives throughout the city of Wilmington. So for a lot of reasons, so we're not out there on big billboards saying this is where we at, but the people inside of our communities, those who have been hard hit, not just by COVID-19, but by structural inequality, they know of us, right? But what is CIT? We are a grassroots organization, and we view violence as a public health issue. Now, this right here is not something new. Madam President has been harping on this issue for years. When she got the CDC to come in here and look at violence as a public health issue. One of the things we try to do, because we recognize a public health issue, and when it comes down to issues like this right here, you gotta have people to go out inside these streets, inside these communities, who have social capital. So here at CIT, we try to employ individuals what we call street identified, right? But also are credible messengers, those who have those connections. So when they look at a child, they also know the child's mother, the child's grandmother. They know the side of town they live on. And they also know some of the circumstances that he's facing because they have faced some of them same challenges themselves. We commonly refer to these incredible messengers as health navigators. So what do these health navigators do? First, when there is a shooting, they try to respond within 24 to 48 hours of the incident, where they try to talk to the families and to the loved ones to make sure that no retaliation begin to start taking place. Because what the literature has shown is that at a shooting site where a person gets shot at the loved one's home, whether it's a mother, father, caregiver, or even at some time in their relationships, you have to go to those spots in the hospitals, because this is where his social network begin to start planning to retaliate. So you got to have people who can go inside them circles right there and try to stop that retaliation. Next slide. So now let's keep in mind where we come from. We come from the Wilmington Street Par family, Dr. Yasser Payne's argument, which says that structural inequality, right, leads to violence, right? Structural inequality leads to violence. So what is structural inequality? A poor healthcare system, a over-aggressive criminal justice system, a lack of jobs, concentrated poverty. And I know you guys are notice probably better than I do, that when we look at areas of the city that have been plagued by this violence, you see these common traits, right? So you're going to see high unemployment in these areas, concentrated poverty, poor healthcare, a poor educational system. So you're going to see these kind of things. So one thing I want to point out is that I know back in the 90s and the early 2000s, one of the things that street par, or not street par, but street level organization that dealt with violence, the one thing that they was criticized for was that there was no science behind the passion, right? But I'm sure that y'all know now that we are very, very heavily into the science. Yes, we do care about our people, but we recognize that a lot of this stuff right here has to be backed by the sciences. So that's why we operate under this PAR methodology, which is a theoretical framework, that help guide us throughout our work. And it actually leads us to the next slide. Right, so some of our community partners. So the one thing that we do, and there's a lot of people out there saying that they're out here trying to address violence, and a lot of them talk to these young folks and they outsource the work. What we try to do here at CIT, as the Center for Structural Equity, is that we try to get these kind of programs and these kind of resources in-house. So once again, we'll draw your attention to the CDC report. If you look at the CDC report, it talks about several things that were common amongst those who were victim and perpetrator of violence. So the one thing they talked about was schools, right? Low educational attainment. So what we did here at the Center for Structural Equity was that we set up learning pods where kids can come in, or either the parent or the child of a frontline worker, an essential worker, or a mother or a father or a grandmother who just can't stay home with the kid, but recognize that if that kid stay home by themselves, they're not going to get on Zoom. They're not going to be getting the education that they need. So we open up a shop to make sure that we address that component that the report talks about, to make sure that they're actually getting the education that they need, right? And we have partnered with the likes of the United Way, Great Oaks, Newcastle County, Matt Myers' office, right, to help us get this right kind of stuff going. The other thing that was critical in that report was
hold on, I have a question, Mr. Chambers. Well, first I want to acknowledge Councilman Friel. Now, these learning pods that you just mentioned, so where are they located?
And I forgot to say that through the course of this presentation, you can stop me at any given moment for me to answer questions. So the first, one of the learning pods is located at 813 North Tatnall Street, right around the corner from the world famous Libby's. The second one is 1009 Sycamore. So down there at the YET program, right off Maryland Avenue. Those are the two that we're responsible for. But of course, working with United Way and Newcastle County, we're part of a whole big network where we have to share information and stuff. So if you know someone, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll wait till you finish.
No. Go ahead, Madam President.
So I was just going to say, is there a list where we can direct people, depending on, where they live, to see this list of locations?
I can definitely connect you with Orrin White, who will have a more comprehensive list of these learning pods, because as we go back to more 100% virtual learning, it's going to be critical that we make sure that our young Black and brown men and women receive the education support that they need, because a lot of us argue, even when they were going to school 8 hours a day in person, they weren't getting the attention that they need. So now that they're home by themselves, for the most part, we really feel as though they're going to be slighted if people don't step up and take a lead on making sure that they get the support and service they need. So yes, Madam Chair, I will make sure that I get you that list so that you can disperse it out to council.
And my last question is, how do you identify where these children are? Like, how does that work?
Like I said, that by word of mouth. We have been going to schools. I actually deal with that high risk population. So the guys who I deal with on the streets, those who have been identified to be most likely involved in a shooting, either as a victim or a perpetrator, I know that left alone, that they're not going to receive it. So it all started from that right there, me bringing them in. And as I always argue, that they also have a social network. So then we started bringing those guys right there in, and a conversation that have developed with the United Way throughout the summer. And we recognize that this right here is going to be something that not only the population I deal with need, but a much larger population is going to need it also. So a lot of it was word of mouth, but we have been in constant communications with all of the superintendents who have been on a call every Friday. They do an amazing job reporting out. And I'm sure that you guys will can get invited to that right there. I don't have control over that, but I'm sure that they will welcome you guys there.
Oh, okay. I was just asking so I would know how and what kind of information to give out to the community. Because as you know, with me attending like civic associations, even though we're not doing all face to face, we are still doing community civic association meetings over Zoom. And so whatever information that I can share with the community families. That's what I try to do, which are the families in Southbridge and the families on the east side. Those are the two communities where I have the majority of the children. And I think I got a slither of children in Red Clay, but the majority of my students come from Southbridge, the east side, and then I have a slither of West Center City, and then I have Midtown Brandywine, which is 12th and West, 12th and Tatnall, 13th and Tatnall, in that particular area. And I believe that would be Red Clay over there, right? I believe so. But anyway, my point is that I just wanted to be able to direct people based on the district that they're in, so they will know where these learning pods are. So thanks.
I think that it's important for us to. I will get the information out to you, Madam Chair. Also, keep in mind, we do want to put them in their district where they live at, but also we recognize what the reality is on the street. So we're only able to deal with a certain population over here at 813 North Tatnall, and we got to make sure that the population I'm dealing with, the other kids that we bring in, are not in opposition to them, where they're not people who are having conflict with each other. So that right there is another important thing. So Madam Chair, that if you need me to look at some names and stuff for you to sort out whether or not, if it's the best fit over at LACC or over at West End Neighborhood House or over there with my partner over there, Cody Harris, at the YEP program or here, then let me know and I will definitely look through those names for you. Because
Awesome.
we recognize that every kid from every part of town can't be with each other.
Understand. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any more questions?
Not right now.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is the other thing that we recognize was that report said that a lot of these youth or young folks were unemployed. So we actually set up a workforce program working with the Division of Social Services, Ray Fitzgerald, who has been a champion of this work from the beginning. And we've been able to get these kids a couple of dollars in their pocket throughout the week. So, but to have that group right there as a captive audience, 15 to 20 hours a week have definitely paid off. And later on, we'll talk about some of our outcomes, but we also was able to support some of their work stuff through the Wilmington Alliance and their partnership with the Longwood Foundation, just so that we can make sure these kids right here have some employment, a couple of dollars in their pocket, because that's something that you hear them argue a lot, right?
Okay.
The next slide. So what are some of the outcomes that we look at? I hear you guys always talk about outcomes, and let me just make a point here. A lot of times when we talk about outcomes, people immediately go to the number of homicides and the number of shooting incidents. Let's just draw our attention to the number of homicides. If you have 32 homicides in 1 year, and the next year it goes down to 16, you can report out that you had a 50% decrease in shootings. But know that when you report that right there out, next year, it only takes you to get to 24 before you have a 50% increase in shootings, right? And as we know, one shooting, one homicide is too many. But my thing is that we try to look at some other things because the shooting is a result of something else. So let's look at some of that stuff on the front end. So with our clients, the thing that we try to do is that we want 50% of them to avoid arrest for gun violence, right? And we have been keeping up that. We're probably up in the upper 90s with that one right there. At least 50% of our clients avoid shooting victimization. Once again, 90, not perfection, but we're high on that right there. At least 60% of our clients making progress on our case management plan. So what do we want to do in the future? And as you always often, people have heard me talk before, the one thing I always close with is this. Our people are not hopeless, they're powerless. But even if you use that right there, hope, how do you instill hope? And the one thing I learned about hope is this. If you can get anyone, a man, woman, or child, to believe that tomorrow offers better opportunities than today, then you are on your way to instilling hope. And that's what we're there. So our case management plan, we're saying that if we can get these kids to think about tomorrow, then they're less likely to commit those spontaneous crimes that they've been engaging in so far. So we really, and I think all of our kids have made progress on their case management plan. But the other thing we want to look at is school, because we believe the school is really one of the keys out of here.
Well, I'm sorry. I want to go back up to your second point regarding your clients avoid shooting re-victimization. So you're saying that some of these youth that you have in your program have been victims of shooting other shooting individuals?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So I heard through a meeting where I attended right now, and I can't remember where it was, but I thought I heard them say that a large percentage of the shootings that are taking place here in Wilmington, especially within the last year, are youth between the ages of like 13 and 17. And that a lot of these youth that once they are caught, that they put them right back out on the street. Is that, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember where I was when I heard that, but I can remember thinking to myself, like, they don't have no kind of rehab for these children. I think they basically said that right now that that's the process, that they don't lock them up. So can you speak to that? Or
So, yes, but I need to, are you saying that the guys who got shot should be locked up, or they're not being,
the
just
shooter,
clarify that part from right there. So
the people
who's
that
being
are shooting people?
shooters or the ones who got shot?
Yes, the shooters.
Oh, the shooters. No, but I can just draw your attention to the report that I read, and that was coming from Chief Tracy, who mentioned something to that nature right there. I don't have data that says like who get locked up. That's something that if you look at the News Journal report, what it tells you is that we have a dismal arrest rate for people getting locked up. So I will have to refer like that right there, that interpretation right there, to someone like Chief Tracy, who deal more intimately with those guys as far as going in and out.
Okay, and that's the reason why I brought it up, because now that you mention it, I do think it was Chief Tracy that had shared that at one of our committee meetings regarding the youth that are found guilty of shooting other people and how they're putting them back out on the street. So I'm connecting what he said to this program as it relates to this re-victimization. And I was just wondering, okay, if that is the case, that you're getting some of these kids that are being put back on the street that are the shooters, how is that working out? And how do you, do you have a different, I guess, curriculum for those particular youth versus the youth that are not accused of shooting anyone? If you follow what I'm saying, because I'm thinking that they would need a whole different process if they have been found guilty of being a part of this violence that we have out here.
Yeah, so the ones I deal with is that critical number that is most likely to be involved in the shooting as a victim or a perpetrator. But I'll say this right here, though. This is what the latest data tell us, is that even if you are friends, if I have a friend and 4 or 5 of them been shot, the chances of me being shot increase exponentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the whole social network analysis stuff that's coming out right now is really prevalent in some of the much larger cities. But I will say this right here. I will say that through one of our programs, our MEET program, which is our mentoring program, and mentoring have shown through the Big Brother program to be very impactful on redirecting some of these guys right here. The E in there stands for education, to make sure these guys are actively engaged. You stay actively engaged in their education. That means meeting with the principal, meeting with the guidance counselor, making sure that you and the parents or caregivers are connected to make sure this kid is making progress inside of school. And like I said, the employment program, making sure he has a couple of dollars in his pocket. But I think that none of that right there holds up if you don't have trust. So that right there is the very definition of MEET. So you still got to have those essential components. You got to have that kid trust. But here goes the reality of the gun violence that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of our young men who's trying to get out of this stuff, Madam Chair,
Yes.
is faced with the reality of this. Mr. Wolfie, how can you help me? Well, I can get you into Del Tech. I can get you a job down ShopRite. And you know what? I can get you some housing down there in Compton.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, he put his gun down and the guys are still looking for him. So now he got to make a decision. I want all that stuff. I want out. But the gun reality said, you know what? I still can be killed because I need that gun. So the thing comes now, I'm either going to I'd rather get caught with the gun than be dead. But that's the reality of the gun world. So my thing is that you have to be able to buy time so that this kid right here can get out of there successfully. But it also means that you got to have people that can talk to the other side and tell them, hey man, this stuff is over, right? And if it wasn't for confidentiality, we'll be able to go to more detail. But we had told these guys about confidentiality. We meet with these guys right here. And there's so many mediation that these guys do on a regular basis that it's amazing that they're able to get that close to these guys right here and de-escalate a lot of this stuff that you don't see in the paper. Because once again, you're asking to prove that negative, right? How do you know it stopped it? And we know that it does.
Okay. Councilmember Oliver, she has her hand up. She has a question.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Wolfie, how you doing? I'm glad to see you. I've been waiting to hear your presentation. I hear about the work you're doing on the streets, kudos to you. But I have a question we just keep speaking about the males. Do you have any females? Because I see I'm reading and hearing and a lot about females being killed or just involved with not necessarily gun violence, but around guys with it, et cetera. Do you have any caseworkers that are females? And if not, could I send you a couple of resumes?
You can definitely still send me the resumes, but of course. So,
okay.
Councilperson Oliver, this is what I've been arguing the entire time, is that not only do we need to look at that critical mass that we see being in the paper all the time, the young black male, but also his inner circle. So his inner circle includes the little young lady. It includes the uncle. It includes the mother. So the short answer is yes, we do have females in the program.
Okay.
I think that it's critical to address this right here at every level. So later on, you're going to see that we have some young ladies who have met some striving goals, some incredible goals. But yes, the short answer is yes, we do have females in the program, and we are still willing to take in or look at folks who you might say could benefit from the program.
No problem. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Well, next slide. So this right here is some of our programs or some of the things we try to employ inside of the CIT program, especially during our MEET sessions, our mentoring, education, employment, and building trust program. We have something we call the Youth Empowerment Solution Program. This right here is a prevention program. Every kid who comes through here, take this program right here. I believe that we had over 30 some kids participate since COVID in this program right here. We got a workforce development program. We're working with Division of Social Services. We have kids from all over the city in this program right here, teaching them basic stuff about how you can act inside of a working environment. Like I said before, we had the learning pods. We have the after school tutorial services where we got a teacher over 25 years who come in here and work with our children to make sure that they're staying on track with their education. And then we got another program called SAVE, and first our Sister Against Violence Through Education program. This is the program where we actually try to get mothers from different sides of town to actually come in once a month and have lunch and dinner together just to talk about it. And what we found out was that a lot of these parents are hearing the nicknames of kids and not knowing who the kid is across town. But come to find out, these are kids' mothers who they have known all their life, who they grew up with. And it's been really interesting to see like how we've been able to avoid a lot of conflict just through our sisters coming together and promoting an anti-violent message. And the other thing that we do called character count, as far as the 6 pillars, don't ask me to, but I will try to. I think it's trust, respect, responsibility, fairness, what's the C? Citizenship and caring, right? So right there is the 6 pillars that we teach. And it's a phase. So, and then we do a whole lot of case management too. I should have put that on there. Because we got some guys who are that high risk population that not ready to come inside yet. So you got to meet them at their house. You got to go in, talk to them right there and make sure that they're on their performance plan and make sure that they're meeting their case management needs also.
I want to go back to Sisters Against Violence Through Education. Now, who are these sisters that come together?
Oh, they're from all over town. Maisha Perkins is the one who's headed this right here. And once a month, she tried to get different ladies to come together. Sometimes we eat Italian. Sometimes we eat at the Malaysian restaurant. Sometimes we eat old chicken and pizza here at the shop. But it was a way to just like bring these ladies together right here, just so they can talk through some of their stuff. Because we realized that this right here is going to be this fight right here is a group fight. And we got to have the sisters together. We got the brothers together. We got to talk to the kids. But more importantly, though, we want to have all these services right here in-house. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to outsource you talking to the mother of my child. I want to have it right here, right? I want to have the after tutorial service. I don't need it, and I respect that it might be in another building, but I need for my kid to be able to come right here and in their safe, nurturing environment. So I want all that stuff right here. And that would really separate us from a lot of the other projects that we ain't trying to outsource nothing. We want to be hands-on throughout the entire process.
So there's opportunities for mothers that have children that have been victims of violence to come and be a part of this group. I'm just trying to understand.
Yes,
like,
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Part of it right there. And,
okay.
And I can give you that sister contact information too, and you can disperse it out to whom you deem is interested in such an effort.
Okay, please do, because I know someone that is thinking about starting a very similar group. And like I had shared with her, I said, there are already a lot of groups out here doing a lot of great work, but we don't, we just need to be connected, so timing is everything. I had no idea that this particular program existed, the SAVE, and it sounds like the perfect group that she would like to get involved in. So I'm glad that it's something already out there instead of reinventing the wheel. Possibly she can get connected. So I would love to be able to get that contact information to turn over to her.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
And the next one. So real quick too, because we also do a lot of we also got a lot of trained people come in who do different projects. We do like a lot of trauma informed projects. We do a lot of family reunification projects. Because a lot of our children got either one or two parents who have been incarcerated. So how do you reconnect that right there? We're working with a lot of local organizations, grassroots organizations to get that right there up and running. But the one thing that I wanted to end with was CIT in action, right? So CIT in action. So in it's my left corner over there where you see the TV screen behind. This right here is one of our family reunification projects right here. We actually had 3 levels of this right here. So in the morning time, during the summer, we actually talked to some of our kids who attend the sessions. And then we had a afternoon session with some more kids. But in the evening session, we actually had about 22 parents come in who took part in that parent family unification project. In the middle project right here, it was our Women's Up project, where we partnered with Christianity Care, where we taught initial responders at some of these crime scenes. And what the research has shown us was that a lot of our youth were bleeding out on the streets.
Wow.
And learning from what happened up there in Sandy Hook, we wanted people who be on the scene to know how to respond if this right happened around them, right? So how do you pack a wound and how do you apply a tourniquet, right? So that there's a training, because we are ongoing training throughout CIT. The one on the right there, we at the Honorable Jesse James Barbershop right there. Another project we're working with Christianity Care, bringing hypertension awareness to the Black and Brown community. So another part of our effort that we try to keep our children to be community responsible, that you have a responsibility to your community, that if there's some type of phenomenon impacting them right there, that you best try to get in there and try to provide a solution to it. So one of the solutions that we found to this right here was bringing hypertension awareness to barbershop, what I call our social informational hubs. And we have our youth right there who are actually engaged in this right there in practicing social distance. Down at the bottom right here, the bottom left right here where you see the 3 kids at, these are our 3 youth who were part of a John Hopkins Violence Prevention Fellowship, an intensive workshop, week-long, 8 hours a day. And they were selected out of thousands and thousands of kids throughout the country. So kudos to them right there. And this right here was during the COVID-19. In previous year, they would actually had a chance to go down to the campus of John Hopkins for a whole week. But we're very proud of them for some of the work that they did. And John Hopkins recognized them as outstanding fellows. The one in the middle, this is us right here at a prevention conference in Sacramento. Let me draw your attention to the person in the middle right there, the young man. He was the first inaugural violence prevention adult specialist of the year. He got that award about 2 years ago. And the young man with the camera around his neck at a Riverside Housing Project, he was 2019 Violent Prevention Youth Specialist of the Year. Out of thousands of candidates, he was able to win that honor right there. And the last photo is us right here conducting one of our sessions during the height of COVID-19 during the summer, where we recognized that the show still had to go on. And, you know, and thanks to Ray, like I said before, who really was supportive of this ideal right here, recognizing that just because COVID-19 came, violence wasn't going to stop. So with that right there, the next slide.
So I would think that with COVID, that the violence probably increased due to, you know, the kids being sheltered in, not having activities.
Right.
Maybe you can speak on that.
Oh, yes, definitely. So, right. So keep in mind, our whole argument is that structural inequality leads to violence. So when this came about in March, the first thing I told the people who I'm close to it was that if our theory hold correct, then we're going to see an increase in violence. And I'm telling you, I told this right here to some people who we would consider very influential throughout our city. And I told them that you need to brace yourself for this because it's going to happen. And when you think about it, and as a criminologist, it is what prevents people from committing crime. So one of the things that prevent people from committing crime, right, is one theory says that you got to have attachment, you got to have belief, you got to have commitment, you got to be involvement, right? So the social bond theory. And when you look at some of the things that was cut off from these kids during this period, right? So you didn't have the attachment of school, like the parents wasn't there, they had to work. The kid was out doing their own thing. The belief system, we closed down all the religious centers, but kept the liquor stores open. So that was messed up. The commitment, there was no longer that commitment to extracurricular activities or the involvement in extracurricular activity. So even just according to that theory right there, we would suggest that, you know what, idle time, we're going to see more and more shootings and homicide and more mischief stuff. You see what I'm saying? So to me, Madam Chair, is that it wasn't a surprise to me. And it was one of my old arguments is that it's easier for me and my team to convince a kid not to pick up a gun than it is for us to convince him to put a gun down.
Wow.
So yes, like we expected it. And we tried to brace it for it, and we told everybody, just because COVID-19 is here, right? Don't forget about the violence, you know? And I think that it took several articles before we were back on track and saying, you know what? We need to go back and address this issue right here. And that right there is one of the issues that we have, is that every time we seem to get a handle on the violence, for some reason, the resources, we get this sense of we got it under control. But as the doctor always tell you, when you go there and you get a prescription, take the whole bottle. Don't take half of it.
Right.
And my thing is that we got a tendency here in Wilmington to take half of it when we feel good and then go back about our business until we get sick again. So.
Understood. So thanks for sharing that, because that theory definitely makes sense as it relates to the compounded what would I say, causes and effects, for our children. And you sort of laid those things out. And I think a lot of times, because even adults, we're so busy being on autopilot, you know what I mean? Like we automatically get up and do certain things until, COVID hit and we all kind of had to sit still and deal with things that we normally don't deal with because we all been on autopilot. So even as adults, if we have been on autopilot, not dealing with things that we got to deal with, most certainly, our children that may have not had the support and advocacy and resources that they need at home, it became more of a reality for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm not surprised. So thank you.
So that right there ends my presentation, Council. Still open for questions. If there's any questions from you guys.
Well, I want to say again, thank you for coming on today and sharing this information, because one of the reasons why we invite organizations like yourself to come and do presentations, so we can take the information. And so instead of trying to track you down every time somebody want to have a conversation, now we can send them this link. And they can, have that opportunity to learn about the program and be able to hear for themselves, what is happening, what you're doing, and hopefully on the end, you can just share how people can get in touch with you, the best way for people to get in touch with you. That's what I would like for you to do.
Yeah. And keep, and you guys are always welcome to come up. We're trying to get more space. We're in the process of getting that right there done. But like I said, 813 North Tatnall Street. You can always share my email address with anyone.
Okay.
I'm available. I'm riding around the city at night. So anything I can do to help get rid of this violence, then I'm here for y'all guys. Just let me know.
Okay, Councilmember Oliver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wolfie, I tell everybody, and as you and I have spoke, it takes a village. It's not just your program, it's the programs that you're connected with and other programs that's involved with the youth. So everybody has to try to do a little bit, whatever they can do, because this thing is bigger than all of us. It's international with this gun violence. But my question to you, a scale 1 to 10, because I know it's been a difficult task, and listening to your presentation and talking to you, I think you're doing a pretty good job. A scale 1 to 10, with the resources that you have been given now, What do you give your program? Because I know it's not, and it's not easy, but what do you think?
What do I give my program on scale of 1 to 10?
Yes.
Yeah, I give them an 8 because
Oh, that's not bad.
I think that we are not fully resourced enough,
Right.
right? Because like I can, for the most part, you want everybody to have medical benefits. If they're out here in the trenches, then we should be getting no medical benefits. A lot of times, we are what I call funded to fail, meaning that we get just enough to be bare knuckle minimal, right? But there's always more needed in the area of making sure that we have enough resources. So, but if you're asking me, is it a 10 with their effort is definitely a 10. So
Okay.
their effort is a 10. The stuff that we would like to do, and the service we would like to provide, right? We would like to have more direct services in connection to numerous things, right? So I believe that and for a lot of times we can get in, like I said, like we believe that the best way to help these children is have a lot of this stuff right here in house.
Right.
And some of the things we just don't have in house because we don't have the money for it.
And it starts, but then a lot of this starts from home. I didn't hear you really hit on the parents. I mean, that's why I said it takes a village, when we was growing. I mean, I'm not going to get into that because, from where we come, but, sometimes parents we can't keep not making the parents accountable. I hear this and I hear a lot of people making excuses. I mean, I know I come from a single parent household. I'm not going to just keep giving them a pass like that. Some of these kids got to be accountable for what they do. And women, we all know that. But how are you and Bobby's program? Are y'all connected? Y'all kind of doing similar things, but different things?
No, Bobby.
You don't have to get into. You don't have to get into the whole.
No.
Uh-huh.
Bobby program is a criminal justice approach.
Okay, got you.
My program is a community-based approach.
Okay.
They're completely different. I think that the goal might be to same, like to save people's lives, but it's definitely two different routes. Like from downtown Wilmington, there's a lot of ways you can get to 4th and Rodney.
Right, that's right.
You take one way, I take the other way.
Right, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. His is the criminal, yours is the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And one way too that I looked at your program was prevention and intervention. Is that correct?
Yes, we do both prevention and intervention, and we are really diving into that prevention side. Like really get in there like a little earlier, like to talk to them kids a little earlier. And that's what I meant by the whole social network, because I just don't like, and sorry, Councilperson Oliver for not being clear about this right here, but when I deal with a youth in my program, I'm dealing with the caregiver at home. I mean that I need to talk to you, I need to see you, I need to have like access to you, I need your phone number, I need to know where you're playing at, I need all that.
Right.
And I need to know, hey, if this kid graduates, you're going to be there.
Okay.
When this kid right here, parents show up and we got something going for him, I need you to show up, right? Because guess what I'll do? I'm going to knock on your door and put you in the car.
Right.
I ain't going to kidnap you, but I'm going to put you in the car. Because I need you to be up here supporting this kid.
Right.
So I do recognize that right there. But I also want to deal with his little brother or sister.
Okay.
Because I know that they look up to them, right? So I need them to, hey man, do you want them to end up like this? So how can I get the whole family involved? And I'm saying, I know that's what you were getting at, like, because this right here is a family affair. And we need to make sure that grandmom, her little girlfriends that come over there, all of them right there on the same page. When this kid come home, we don't need that foolishness around them.
Exactly.
And I'm saying, and I think because we have the credible messengers, though with the social capital, that we're able to convince a lot of these parents, you know what, they're in good care. They call me, Wolfie, come get him. I'm telling you, they walk out the house after 12 o'clock, Wolfie just left out of here, he going that way, go get him.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm saying though, they have brought into it. And I think that right there goes a lot to the team's trust that they have built throughout the community. But I'm saying, and we talk about this right here, but a lot of the success that we have had, that 9 that we got, is because we have had like tremendous support in the background. like things that we don't even think about that people have provided to us in the background. And so that right there is another 10. So our background support has been a 10, far as building the infrastructure of the place right here. And Alicia Drew has like really been amazing in the company that she works for. Just trying to make sure we get all of the things that we need for that infrastructure, because without that right there, it all falls apart, right? So now we have moved this, what I call grassroots violent prevention program from just compassion to making sure we got the infrastructure to stand up. And also that we got the science to prove that what we're doing is the right approach, or an approach that can stand up to peer review. So kudos out to everybody that's been part of this right here.
That's excellent.
Thanks
And
again.
yeah, that was a good point that you brought up, Councilmember Oliver, because I was curious as to how do the parents, mothers and fathers and, siblings, like how do they, work in with this? So you kind of touched on that, but I also wanted to know, are there any type of support programs for the parents? Because clearly we can see that the youth are getting some support and advocacy, but what about the parent?
Yeah, once again, I got to go back to Ray Shop, who we make referrals to them all the time. So we give them, we refer people to them all
Okay.
the times. And we have had like tremendous success addressing things like homelessness,
Mm-hmm.
things like making sure that people get access to like help with their utilities. So all them things right there, his shop has been really great at making sure that we get some of the resources that we need.
That's really awesome. And I have one last comment to make. And I was thinking, is there any opportunities to incorporate clergy into this matrix? Because it sounds like you have different um, organizations and segments to this whole puzzle, to providing the support that is needed. And I was just thinking, like, is there an opportunity, one, or are the clergy already involved? Because there is an opportunity for them to possibly connect with you to see how they could be also another layer of support, especially male mentors. Um, being involved. A lot of the clergy, especially like IMAC, I have relationships with different members of IMAC, and they're always talking about how they want to get involved in the community and how they want to make an impact in the community. And I'm always, my response is first of all, find out where the need is, because a lot of time, and not them in particularly, but I hear a lot of different organizations wanting to help, but they want to help where they want to help versus asking the question to the right people, where do you need my help? And I think that there is a great need for the clergy to be involved, especially the male clergy to be involved in, your particular program if there's an opportunity, if you see an opportunity, or if your organization sees an opportunity.
Well, you open up an old wound, Madam Chair. As you know, I've seen where you posted that we just lost Iman Umar, who was
Mhm.
a mentor of mine and someone I can always count on for for advice, because he was interfaith.
Mhm.
So right, there's always a need for us to have that spirituality in there. As a spiritual man myself, I recognize the importance of it. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't try to force it on the kids at all.
Mhm.
But when it comes up and there's a need, we definitely try to seek out that support right there. But
Mhm.
some of the folks that you name have been role models to me, mentors to me.
Mhm.
So we always welcome that right there, especially if it's something that the kid asks for, right? So like if that right there is something they ask for, yes, we really try to seek it out for them. Do we got religious people embedded inside the program? No, we don't.
Mhm.
But I'm saying, like I said, and like it was expressed here earlier, is that it's going to take all of us to get this done, so that all people like that right there is welcome. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, like all them Beeman, all them guys are my friends, my mentors. Yeah, so I guess the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Anytime we get clergy involved, it'd be great.
Yeah, and I want to say that when I said that, I meant from the standpoint of volunteering to help with your program versus, coming to offer prayer. Of course, that goes without saying, but do you need volunteers where they can come in and spend a couple hours, with some of your youth in terms of your program? That's what I was talking about in particularly, because
I like because we do what we call road trips. I like to
okay.
take them down there to see them. You know what I'm saying? So that they can see them and some of the stuff that they're doing. But we welcome volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing about it is that because you come in here volunteering and you want a different message, then you getting out here anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
hear you.
so yeah. So I'm saying, no, yeah. So because the one thing we try to do is keep our message consistent. And if a volunteer come here with great intentions, but he on the wrong message, then it's not going to work. But for the most part, a lot of them guys do agree with the structural violence argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there's a system that's in place and the system is working well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them do agree with that argument right there. And that right there is the first step for us. Agree with that argument and let's get it done.
That's great. Okay, so Councilmember Oliver, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask?
No, I just like to thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to thank the panel because I have to go pick my niece up, but I really appreciate the presentation and good work. Thanks
All right,
again.
please, Anthony.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. Okay, well, lastly, is there anything that City Council we can do in a way of getting messages out, sharing this link? What is there that we could do to be of support to your program?
So, Madam Chair, the one thing that we really pride ourselves here at CIT is that I'm just the head. A lot of this stuff right here, when it comes down to the stuff right here, is that we make it as a body. And unfortunately, like everybody from the team couldn't be here today. So my thing is that I would like to go back to them and get back to you about what role that City Council can play. I'm sure there is a great role, and we would love through your chain get some information out here. But at the same time, I want to respect their voice and give them a chance to weigh in on this right here.
Okay.
Because I got some stuff, you know me, I got some stuff that I can say, but I really want to weigh in to make sure that I'm keeping in line with the message that these guys and young ladies want to put forth.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Now I know that Council Member Friel is on here. He's connected by phone. Council Member Friel, can you hear me? And did you have any comments before I close out? Looks like
I don't see it.
he probably doesn't have anything else. Council Member Friel, did you have anything you wanted to say before I close out?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Oh, okay. I was muted the whole time. No, I don't have anything. I appreciate being able to listen in. Obviously, it was a little difficult without seeing the slideshow and everything. But I had some connection problems. But no, thank you for coming in today and presenting to council. I appreciate it.
No problem, bud.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, if all hearts and minds are clear, Council Member Free, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
All right. Well, thank you. And thanks again. And we'll continue this conversation, Wolfie.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Have a good evening. Okay. Bye.